This plan was developed and
What
negotiated by
is
my team
up?
and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be, working together as Americans. This will be my final address to you from the American people from the Oval Office in
Thank
this
God.
task as president. And I've been thinking a lot about who we are and maybe more importantly, who we should be. Long ago in New York Harbor, an ironworker installed beam after beam, day after day. He was joined by steel workers, stonemasons, engineers. They built not just a single structure, but a beacon of freedom. The very idea of America was so big, we felt the entire world needed to see. The Statue of Liberty, a gift from France after our Civil War. Like the very idea of America, it was built not by one person, but by many people from every background and from around the world. Like America, the Statue of Liberty is
Yeah, he
not
looks
standing
current.
still. Her foot literally steps forward atop a broken chain of human bondage. She's on the march, and she literally moves. She was built to sway back and forth to withstand the fury of stormy weather, to stand the test of time because storms are always coming. She sways a few inches, but she never falls into the current below. It's an
What?
engineering marvel. The Statue of Liberty is also an enduring symbol of the soul of our nation.
Nope, he
A
does not know
soul
where he
shaped
is.
by forces that bring us together and by forces that pull us apart. And yet, through good times and tough times, we've withstood it all. A nation of pioneers and explorers, of dreamers and doers, of ancestors native to this land, of ancestors who came by force, a nation of immigrants who came to build a better life, a nation holding the torch of the most powerful idea ever in the history of the world, that all of us are created equal, that all of us deserve to be treated with dignity, justice, and fairness, that democracy must defend and be defined and be imposed, moved in every way possible. Our rights, our freedoms, our dreams. But we know the idea of America, our institution, our people, our values that uphold it are constantly being tested. Ongoing debates about power and the exercise of power, but whether we lead by the example of our power or the power of our example, whether we show the courage to stand up to the abuse of power or we yield to it. After 50 years at the center of all of this, I know that believing in the idea of America means respecting the institution that
Oh,
has
come
built
on.
a free society, the presidency, the Congress, the courts, a free and independent press, institutions that are rooted, they just might not reflect the timeless words, but they echo the words of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, rooted in the timeless words of the Constitution. We, the people, our system of separation of powers, checks and balances. It may not be perfect, but it's maintained our democracy for nearly 250 years, longer than any other nation in history that's ever tried such a bold experiment. In the past 4 years, our democracy has held strong. And every day I've kept my commitment to be president for all Americans through one of the toughest periods in our nation's history. I've had a great partner in Vice President Kamala Harris. It's been the honor of my life to see the resilience of essential workers getting us through a once in a century pandemic, the heroism of service members and first responders keeping us safe, the determination of advocates standing up for our rights and our freedoms instead of losing their jobs to an economic crisis that we inherited. Millions of Americans now have the dignity of work. Millions of entrepreneurs and companies creating new businesses and industries, hiring American workers, using American products. Together, we've launched a new era of American possibilities. one of the greatest modernizations of infrastructure in our entire history, from new roads, bridges, clean water, affordable high-speed internet for every American. We invented the semiconductor, smaller than the tip of my little finger, and now is bringing those chip factories and those jobs back to America where they belong, creating thousands of jobs. Finally, giving Medicare the power to negotiate.
Oh,
Conga CLM is an end-to.
Sorry, gotta get that premium plan.
Significant gun safety law in 30 years, and bringing violent crime to a 50-year low, meeting our sacred obligation to over 1 million veterans so far who are exposed to toxic materials, and to their families, providing medical care and education benefits and more.
You didn't provide them anything.
For their families. You know, it will take time to feel the full impact of all we've done together. But the seeds are planted, and they'll grow and they'll bloom for decades to come.
The seeds of
Created
destruction.
nearly 17 million new jobs, more than any other single administration, single term. More people have health care than ever before. And overseas, we've strengthened NATO. Ukraine is still free. And we pulled ahead of our competition with China. And so much more. I'm so proud of how much we've accomplished together for the American people. And I wish the incoming administration success, because I want America to succeed. That's why I've held my duty to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition of power, to ensure we lead by the power of our example. I have no doubt that America is in a position to continue to succeed. That's why my farewell address tonight, I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. We see the consequences all across America, and we've seen it before. More than a century ago, but the American people stood up to the robber barons back then and busted the trusts. They didn't punish the wealthy, just made the wealthy play by the rules everybody else had to. Workers want rights to earn their fair share. You know, they were dealt into the deal. And they'll put us on a path to building the largest middle class.
Do not necessarily disagree.
Any nation in the world has ever seen. We've got to do that again. In the last 4 years, that's exactly what we've done. People should be able to make as much as they can, but play by the same rules, pay their fair share of taxes. So much is at stake. Right now, the existential threat of climate change has never been clearer.
My man.
Just look across the country, from California to North Carolina. That's why I signed the most significant climate and clean energy law ever in the history of the world. And the rest of the world is trying to model it now. It's working, creating jobs and
Inflation Reduction Act
of the future. Now, we've proven we don't have to choose between protecting the environment and growing the economy. We're doing both. But powerful forces want to wield their unchecked influence to eliminate the steps we've taken to tackle the climate crisis, to serve their own interest for power and profit. We must not be bullied into sacrificing the future of our children and our grandchildren. We must keep pushing forward and push faster. There's no time to waste. It's also clear that American leadership in technology is an unparalleled source of innovation that can transform lives. We see the same dangers of the concentration of technology, power, and wealth. You know, his farewell address, President Eisenhower spoke of the dangers of the military-industrial complex.
Okay, now we're on to something.
He warned us then about, and I quote, the potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power, end of quote.
I thought he was going somewhere good.
6 decades later,
I thought he was
I'm
going
equally
somewhere
concerned
good.
about the potential rise of a tech industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well. Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation, enabling the abuse of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing. Social media is giving up on fact checking. The truth is smothered by lies told for power and for profit. We must hold the social platforms accountable to protect our children, our families, and our very democracy from the abuse of power. Meanwhile, artificial intelligence is the most consequential technology of our time, perhaps of all time. Nothing offers more profound possibilities and risks for our economy and our security, our society, for humanity. Artificial intelligence even has the potential to help us answer my call to end cancer as we know it. But unless safeguards are in place, AI could spawn new threats to our rights, our way of life, to our privacy, how we work, and how we protect our nation. We must make sure AI is safe and trustworthy and good for all humankind. In the age of AI, it's more important than ever that the people must govern. And as the land of liberty,
You're not acting like
America,
that.
not China, must lead the world in the development of AI. You know, in the years ahead, it'll help to be,
My man.
it's going to be up to the president, the presidency, the Congress, the courts, the free press, and the American people to confront these powerful forces. We must reform the tax code, not by giving the biggest tax cuts to billionaires, but by making them begin to pay their fair share. We need to get dark money. That's that hidden funding behind too many campaigns contributions.
Like
We
yours?
need to get it out of our politics. We need to enact an 18-year time limit, time and term, for the strongest ethics and the strongest ethics reforms for our Supreme Court.
Oh, I thought
We
he was
need
going
to
to say the
ban
Senate.
members of Congress from trading stock while they're in the Congress. We need to amend the Constitution to make clear that no president is immune from crimes that he or she commits while in office. The president's power is not limited. It's not absolute. And it shouldn't be.
It's a total political
In a
speech.
democracy, there's another danger to the concentration of power and wealth. It erodes a sense of unity and common purpose. It causes distrust and division. Participating in our democracy becomes exhausting and even disillusioning. And people don't feel like they have a fair shot. We have to stay engaged in the process. I know it's frustrating. A fair shot is what makes America, America. Everyone's entitled to a fair shot, not a guarantee, but just a fair shot, an even playing field, going as far as your hard work and talent can take you. We can never lose that essential truth, remain who we are. I've always believed, and I've told other world leaders, America can be defined by one word: possibilities. Only in America do we believe anything is possible.
It's the possibility of
The kid with
wrapping
the
this
stutter
up.
from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware,
Not from
sitting
Scranton.
behind this desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. That's the magic of America. It's all around us. Upstairs in the residence of the White House, I've walked by a painting of the Statue of Liberty. I don't know
Oh
how many
boy, we got
times.
a Trump hater in the
For the
house.
painting, there's several workers climbing on the outstretched arm of the statue that holds the torch.
Dropship Canada. Are you
Reminds me
trolling?
every day
Are
I
you really
pass it of the
a
story,
Biden lover?
soul of our nation, and the power of the American people. There's a story of a veteran. This is a veteran, son
Tell
of
us,
an immigrant,
Dropship Canada. Why is Trump a
whose job
dictator?
was to climb that torch
No, I think
and
this guy's
polish the
trolling.
amber panes so rays of light could reach out as far as possible. He was known as the keeper of the flame. He once said of the Statue of Liberty, quote, speaks a silent universal language, one of hope that anyone who seeks and speaks freedom can understand. Yes, We sway back and forth to withstand the fury of the storm, to stand the test of time. A constant struggle, a short distance between peril and possibility. But what I believe is the America of our dreams is always closer than we think. It's up to us to make our dreams come true. Let me close by stating my gratitude to so many people, to the members of my
Oh,
administration,
this is fun.
as well as public service and first responders across the country.
So
and
you're
around
gonna
the world.
miss Biden. You're gonna miss this.
Thank you for stepping up to serve.
Mm.
To our service
I'm
members
assuming you're from
and their
Canada.
families, it's been the highest honor of my life to lead you as Commander-in-Chief. And of course, to Kamala and our incredible partner, the historic Vice President. She and Doug have become like family. And to me,
Okay, he's
family's
trolling. I don't
everything.
believe you.
With
I
deepest
don't believe this
appreciation
guy.
for our amazing First Lady who's with me in the Oval today. For our entire family. You're the love of my life and the lives of my love.
The wife of my
My
love.
eternal thanks to you, the American people. After 50 years of public service, I give you my word. I still believe in the idea for which this nation stands. Nation where
I
the
knew it.
strength of our institutions, and the
I knew
character
it.
of our people matter and must endure. Now it's your turn to stand guard.
I knew he was
May you all
trolling.
be the keeper of the flame. May you keep the faith. I love America. You love it too. God bless you all. May God protect our troops. Thank you for this great honor.
Phew. All right, we done? Good, we're done with that. Nice. So, got a lot of great stuff to talk about tonight. Glad that's finally over. Got that out of the way. So for stuff that happened today, Newsom declares this emergency executive order. And by the way, Newsom retweeted a post with Vinny from the PBD podcast, and it's freaking hilarious. I gotta show you that. It's like he's just rapid fire responding to anybody. Kind of like he's like, oh, a lot of disinformation going around out there. Gotta put the truth out there. So he responds to this post that Wall Street Apes posted of Vinny on PBD podcast, saying how his plan was to, take the property from people and stuff. And he's like, no, that's not true. I signed an emergency executive order banning private companies from buying this land. So he basically made it illegal for the people who had their homes burned down to sell their land. So, if you want to raise some money, you're not allowed to sell your land. And he's out like bragging about that like it's a good thing. But, that adds to the point of what we're saying, that we think that he's trying to do a land grab for the 15-minute smart city. So we got to talk about that. Is that even legal? And then if you guys might have missed it the other day, they did this emergency session in the California Congress where they allocated $50 million to Trump-proof California. So they're like gearing up and trying to get ready to fight against anything that Trump does to California. Then a study came out from the Wall Street Journal saying that the ADL found that 50% of the people in the world hold anti-Semitic views. So we definitely have to talk about that. A lot to get into there. Michelle Obama skipping the inauguration. Funny that she skipped Jimmy Carter's funeral and Obama was there acting all cordial with Trump, and Michelle Obama couldn't even show up. And now she's so I guess she really took this thing to heart. I didn't know, she didn't even want to run for president. So I'm surprised she's taking this thing this difficult. Then Iran comes out and says, guys, we never, ever plotted to kill Trump. Anybody that's saying that is lying. It's misinformation, blah, blah, blah. So, we know that they're trying to use Iran as the scapegoat. They tried to do it with the Butler, Pennsylvania thing. They come out and say that the guy had connections to Iran and everything, blah, blah, blah. So that's a funny thing. We have to look into that. And then the Puerto Rican governor expects Trump to swiftly respond to Venezuela's open threat to invade their territory. That's funny because I remember people from Puerto Rico and the Puerto Rican government not being too happy with Trump. So now they're looking to him to protect them. And then Canada seeks a mineral partnership with the U.S. amid tariff threats. The WHO might be on the chopping block, thank God, because the Republicans are looking to cut off funding to it, which that's the thing that nobody ever talks about. These big international organizations like NATO and the UN, the WHO, those are all completely dependent on funding from America. Like if America pulled out of that shit, they would shrivel up and die. Like they try to act like they're the ones that are in charge with the global, like the pandemic situation. The WHO steps in, tries to act like they're in charge, but they're taking all their money from America. That's why they're able to operate, because of American money. Denmark opens up a back channel to discuss Greenland. Sam Altman, Mark Zuckerberg, and other big tech leaders, even Jeff Bezos, they're skipping Davos to go to the inauguration. And speaking of Davos, Trump is going to be the first person ever to give his speech at Davos virtually. So I'm excited to see what he says about that. XRP shoots up past $3 today. And I guess there's a lot of anticipation about Trump just coming in day one and just doing all kinds of pro crypto policy changes. So that's going to be interesting. TikTok preparing to shut down Sunday, and TikTok's supposedly speaking to Elon Musk behind the scenes, trying to get him to buy it. I believe the price of TikTok's like 84 billion. Then SEC is investigating Elon Musk and many other things. So first and foremost, got to get into this. Let's start off with the Gavin Newsom emergency order. So here, let me show you the tweet that he said to Vinny. Did you guys see this? Everybody in the chat, did you see what the exchange that Gavin Newsom and Vinny had today? Where's Cuck Adam? Cuck Adam's off doing Cuck Adam things. There's so question, everybody in the chat, do you guys really hate Adam, or is it just like a troll job? So I mean, like 75, 80, like I used to kind of run the podcast for PBD podcast, and I would see all the comments and everything, and like 75, 80% of the comments are just like anti-Adam things, like gauge you. So is that just like a troll job, or you guys really like dislike Adam? Because he's not bad. He's a cool guy. Let me see. I'm going to look up this. I got to show you what Gavin Newsom said to the Vinny post today. And then I think PBD retweet said something about that. So here we go. All right, ready? So from Gavin Newsom's account, ready? Wall Street Apes post this. California Governor Newsom officially setting the stage for developers to come in and buy up the devastated land in Los Angeles, Pacific Palisades, which I don't even think that part's true. And they say another conspiracy theory proven true. The fires were not accident. There's absolutely no way this is just another coincidence. True. But I don't think he's setting the stage for the developers to come in and buy it. I think he's setting the stage for the government to come in and buy it. So here's what Vinny says.
Where Newsom is talking about calling Josh Green. The Maui fires, okay, they exposed the same stuff that's happening right now. Government failure, delayed response. It's talking about calling Josh Green. The Maui fires, okay, they exposed the same stuff that's happening right now. Government failure, delayed response, ignored warnings, and all these priorities. He says something about reimagining California where he calls the Maui guy, and this is what bothers me, Tom, those people that you're talking about now that have nothing, okay, that the house was worth, let's say, 10 million in regard to insurance. Now, if somebody comes and wants to buy up the land, Tom, they can offer them way less and say, listen, everything's gone. You didn't have the right insurance. We're going to give you this much money cash, Tom. Get this, go about your business. Am I right?
People that had their house paid off.
Yes.
That, for some of them that don't have the resources and were underinsured, that is their only choice.
Jeez.
To sell the land to tomorrow's developer and go somewhere.
So you get the point. So Gavin Newsom freaking retweets this, or quote tweets it, saying, "This is absolutely fake. I signed an executive order today to protect residents from predatory land speculators and developers." So this is what he's talking about. And I don't know, I see it a little bit differently. Let me know what you think, but this is what the bill says. This is the terminology of it. So from today, January 14th, Newsom issues order to protect fire victims from predatory real estate speculators. So this is essentially a 3-month period where he's saying that, let's see, The governor's executive order makes unsolicited, undervalued offers to purchase property from property owners in specific zip codes of Los Angeles County unlawful for a period of 3 months from the date of this order. Directs Department of Real Estate along with other state agencies to provide notice to the public of their rights under law, resources for information, contact, blah, blah, blah. So he's essentially trying to stop private companies from buying this property. But what I'm wondering is, like, the average person, you have a $3 million house, whatever, in the Pacific Palisades. Maybe you inherited it, maybe you didn't. But a lot of them were either uninsured or had their insurance rates jacked up from like $4,000 a month to $10,000 a month in the last few years when they started getting these wildfires and they started doing these policies like canceling the brush burnings and stuff. Because that's the reason that they jacked up the rates, because they were the insurance companies are super aware of the conditions where they're canceling these things that were likely to prevent the fires, what they're doing with the water and everything. So, the average person, you get the situation where like they're staying in a hotel now and they're spending having to spend like $10,000 a month on a hotel. And like, how long can the average person do that for? Because whatchamacallit, they I think that's like what the primary focus should be, because what if you need to sell your property? Because I mean, you probably get a couple $1 million even just for the land alone. But then I guess the next question is too, if the house isn't paid off, can you still sell the land? I mean, what do you guys think about this? I think that this is further solidifies the point that the government's trying to take possession of this, because they're almost like stopping other people from getting in their way of taking that property. And then there was a funny thing today of the mayor being asked if she regretted going to Ghana, and this is how she responded.
Back, would you have taken that trip overseas?
I am going to focus today
But please,
on what we know.
Can I
ask you one question about round gouging?
So she's just like, no. I mean, I like that the mayor of the or not the mayor, the CEO of the LA Times came out and straight up said, like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, we messed up. We should not have endorsed this lady. She's a disaster. We regret endorsing her. We no longer support her as the mayor. And even I think the Kardashians are coming out and calling this lady out. Like Khloe Kardashian's catching a lot of heat online for what she's saying about the mayor. But, like 80% of the people in these areas were hardcore liberals. So I don't know, I think that it could actually like move the needle enough to make something happen in California, because it was pretty close this year. I think it was like less than 10% that Trump lost California by, which, it's normally like a 20% margin. So that's where we're at with that. Well, there's actually a few more fire stories, but I kind of want to get into this thing from the Wall Street Journal where the ADL comes out and says that half the world's anti-Semitic. So here, check this out. According to the Wall Street Journal / ADL. So here we go. 50% of the world has anti-Semitic views, according to the Wall Street Journal survey finds. It says anti-Semitism has surged, especially among the young, as the Holocaust fades from collective memory. Around half adults across the world hold anti-Semitic beliefs and deny historic facts about the Holocaust, according to the latest edition of the Global Study of Anti-Jewish Attitudes. The study surveyed more than 58,000 adults from 103 countries and territories, representing 94% of the world's adult population, and found that 46% of them, which had extrapolated the global population, would equal an estimated 2.2 billion people displayed anti-Semitic views. A fifth of the respondents haven't heard of the Holocaust, during which 6 million Jews were killed, while 21% believe it's either been exaggerated or never happened. While, according to the survey known as the Global 100, this level of anti-Semitism in the global adult population has more than doubled since 2014 when it was launched. The report is the latest among a number of surveys charting a steep rise in anti-Semitism across the globe, including violent offenders, with some data showing a surge in anti-Jewish sentiment after October 7th, 2023, Hamas-led attack on Israel. In Europe, the European Union's executive body reported on October that the conflicts in the Middle East have led to levels of anti-Semitism unprecedented since the founding of the bloc decades, blah, blah, blah. So you get the point. So how do you guys process this? Because I mean, there's a there's a lot of angles to this where it was weird how during these college protests, you know, it was just like they're just like allowing it to be okay for people to say anti-Semitic things and whatnot. But then at the same time, Congress passes this law where it's becomes like illegal to say anti-Semitic things, and I mean, the problem with that is that they get very broad and very loose with what they deem anti-Semitic when you say a lot of these things. So I don't know. Do you think that the ADL is exaggerating this, or do you guys think that there's something to this? Amber says, are the orbs still happening? Wouldn't know because the fire story is covering every single story. I'm kind of tired of hearing about it. Not to be insensitive. No, I get it. I mean, yeah, the drones are still very much happening, and Trump said the other day that he was gonna reveal it day one whenever when he gets in office and whatnot. But Tucker and Michael Schellenberg had a pretty deep conversation about the other day where they were saying that everybody they spoke to about was freaked out by it, and that they don't think it's our own, and they were pondering the concept of it being alien stuff. I mean, my base case for that is that it's probably that secret technology we don't know about. If you haven't watched the episode with Stephen Greer yet, that when we had him on, I mean, that makes it all pretty clear cut. With the technology that we're using is 100 years old. They have the Invention Secrecy Act, talk about that all the time. 6,000 classified patents. So I think we've had technology that's just absolutely insane for 70 years, and we don't know about a lot of it. I mean, I don't know. That's the good question is, why are they using it now? Why are they just kind of making these things float around? Is it to freak us out? Is it to look for something? Is it to kind of see how easy it would be to launch an attack? I mean, I'm totally paranoid about this inauguration. I keep hearing yeah, they're gonna have over 100,000 police officers there, all that, but and I'm still uneasy about it, because they say they're gonna have drones on security and standby and whatnot, but I don't know, we could do some crazy shit with that. Hello, Steph, how you doing? What's up, Dylan? Can't get over the fact that the Tesla bomber worked for a drone company. The Tesla bomber worked for a drone company. So what? The Green Beret worked for a drone company? Steve P says, aliens are real. I grew up in the Hudson Valley and talked to people who saw the ships back in the 80s. They said it was definitely real. But I mean, what if the ships were just the military industrial complex ships that, where they have the anti-gravity technology and whatnot? I don't know. Yeah, sure. I think aliens are real too, but I also think that we have crazy technology that would look alien to us. So how do you differentiate between that? OP Jeff says, to Alan, watch Sean Ryan, Jane Doe today. No, I didn't watch that. Was it good? Does anybody have any thoughts on the Israel thing? I mean, I thought that was pretty crazy for them to just come out and say that half the world's anti-Semitic. Are we all afraid to touch that? I mean, see, that's the thing. I don't know. I have my base case is that the Rothschilds are worth anywhere from $1 trillion to $20 trillion. They bought the state of Israel. They seem like the majority owner of the Federal Reserve. That's what my whole series is about. The Men Who Broke America. It's 5 parts in right now. The next part's going to be about the creation of the Federal Reserve and how the Rothschilds used agents of theirs to make it look like a bunch of people were involved in creating it, but they were behind all the people who were the founders of it. They were behind the founding of Israel. So they're kind of like the mother bee of the Zionists. OP Jeff says, fuck the ADL. I know, that's for sure. You cannot control who controls the world. I know, and that's the crazy thing here. Let me look up this thing quick with them banning anti-Semitic speech. Congress bans anti-Semitic speech. Is it this one? The Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. The bill provides statutory authority for the requirement that the Department of Education Office of Civil Rights takes into consideration. See, now this is weird. So stuff like this, where Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, this bill provides statutory authority that requires the Department of Education Office for Civil Rights to take into consideration the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance working definition of anti-Semitism when reviewing or investigating complaints of discrimination based on race, color, or national origin in programs, activities that receive federal finance assistance according to, yeah, so I mean, I don't think that's the one I'm looking for. The one I'm looking for, Congress is, yeah, here we go. House passes bill to expand definition of anti-Semitism amid growing campus protests. Well, I mean, that's on the schools for them. Like, I get that crazy. The House passed legislation Wednesday that would establish a broader definition of anti-Semitism for the Department of Education and enforce anti-discrimination laws. The latest response from lawmakers, blah, blah, blah. So, civil rights, a federal anti-discrimination law that bars discrimination based on shared ancestry. So, I mean, just like you get to the point where you start asking, like, if that encompasses any type of criticism or critique. But I don't know. Do all of Brandon's doubles get a farewell speech or just dark? Oh, you're talking about Biden. Pushing the idea at the forefront is anti-Semitic itself. Yeah, no, 100%. Ask Cam to get in touch with Sean Ryan. Oh, we can get in touch with Sean Ryan. Israel thing has so many twists and turns we can talk about for hours, and it's all what ifs, and then I feel like, yeah, it's a doozy. Half the world is anti-Semitic. Have you met Asians or Iranians? Everyone has racist in their culture. Everyone hates someone. Yeah, that's true. Sean Ryan needs to do PBD and vice versa. Let's go, Brandon. Have him on. Yeah, no, that'll happen someday. That'll definitely happen. Dang, Biden keeps talking, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so I thought that was a weird thing, but let's go on to the next thing. So the next thing that I thought was pretty crazy is that, what do we got here? So Iran just comes out and says it never plotted to kill Trump during the campaign. So check this out. From NBC, Iran just comes out and feels the need to come out and say, yeah, we never had anything to do with any plot to kill Trump, even though the U.S. is trying to push that narrative. Iran never plotted to kill Trump during campaign. Iran's president tells NBC News. Iran never plotted to assassinate Donald Trump during last year's election. President Mossad Pezeshkian told NBC News Lester Holt an exclusive interview in Tehran. How's he able to go to Tehran and be safe? Asked about the reported plot against Trump outlined by U.S. authorities, the president said, this is another one of those schemes that Israel and other countries are designing to promote Iranophobia. Iran has never attempted to, nor does it plan to, assassinate anyone, at least as far as I know. Holt then asked Pezeshkian, you're saying there was never an Iranian plot to kill Donald Trump? ? None whatsoever. Asked whether Iran is willing to promise that there will be no attempt promise on Trump's life, he said, quote, we never attempted this to begin with and never will. And so I mean, yeah, you had like, that was like the first thing they started trying to push when the Butler, Pennsylvania thing happened. You know, like Blinken comes out that week and says like, oh yeah, we're estimating that in about a week, Iran's gonna have the capabilities to do a nuclear attack. Like, yeah, bullshit, Blinken. That's probably the thing that I'm like most curious about is what the hell is up with that kid with the Trump thing, because you know, like we don't know about the phone, we don't know about the parents, the house. I'm so curious about that. And did you guys see on Alex Jones last night? They came out with this new JFK tape. Hold on, I gotta show you that actually. So, as far as I know, I haven't seen anybody else talking about this, but check this out. So, this is pretty wild if it's not AI. Here we go. Oh, follow me on X, by the way, if you guys haven't. I'm trying to get that thing moving. All right, where's this video? JFK. Yeah, he posts too much. I'm gonna have to search this. Here we go. So from Alex Jones, never before heard audio of former executive director of the DNC, close associate LBJ, Clifton Carter, admitting that LBJ hired Mac Wallace to assassinate JFK. Oh shit.
Seriously. And I've done a lot of time and I've lost a lot of money and hurt my family a whole lot. And it's really got me disgusted with Lyndon in one way. In one way, I feel real sorry for him.
Thanks for being on the front lines and fighting this battle and just
So
pushing
there you
this
go.
out to the American.
My bad. I forgot to. I guess I didn't put the video up. I think you heard the sound that whole time. Let me know if you heard that. All right. If you need me to replay it. OP Jeff says, "Do you retain ownership of this channel?" Yes, I do. Why do you ask? You guys can't hear anything? My bad. All right, I'll replay that. Mobby.
It's sure good to see you. How's life treating you today? Well, Saul, it's been a pretty touch and go situation. Linda and I have had quite a few unpleasant words here lately over the deal with that he hired Mike Wallace to assassinate the president. It's been hectic in every way, but we've lived through it this far. I guess we'll continue to do so. Lyndon should have never issued that order to Mike. But we've had our differences, and I'm a true blue to Lyndon, as I've always been, and tried to carry out every order that he's ever given me. But this is one I'll probably never be able to forget. And the times that we've had in Texas, and the embarrassment that Lyndon had gotten from Kennedy, I guess there wasn't anything else to do but what he did. Well, you know, Lyndon that have really hit me if you would. Well, Lyndon's the kind of person that doesn't want to help anyone. He's all for Lyndon, and that's the way he's pretty much always been. Well, they had me backed up on that Henry Marshall killing, and they just kind of blackmailed me to keep my mouth shut. If I hadn't had a bunch of tapes that I played after he got killed, because 17 got killed in this situation very mysteriously. And I've done a lot of time, and I've lost a lot of money, and hurt my family a whole lot. And it's really got me disgusted with Lyndon in one way. In one way, I feel real sorry for him.
Thanks for being on the front lines and fighting this battle and just pushing this out to the American public. And we've had.
So I don't know if that's real, but I mean, like, we already kind of knew that stuff. I bring that up to show that the government's playbook really hasn't changed that much. They like set something up to look like it's some like for an adversary, and then they get all the pieces in place to kind of distribute that narrative. But the source of this video is from Alex Jones' channel. Here, I'll send you guys the link right now in the chat, but I don't know if that'll work because I don't know if links work in the chat. There you go. There's the link for X. And the name of the thing is Historic JFK Assassination Tapes Drop. But yeah, I know. I don't know. That's what I think the Iran thing is. I think they're trying to like set up a patsy. But we're so freaking close. We just got to get this thing across the finish line. I mean, shit. 5 more days. Now, with the TikTok thing, interesting stuff going on. Here, let me see this article. So there's been some reports denying that China's speaking to Elon Musk about buying TikTok. Some reports saying that they are speaking to Elon Musk about buying TikTok. TikTok's worth like $84 billion right now. So don't know if that's feasible. Well, actually, no, I'm not talking about it is feasible for Elon Musk. But I was gonna say I don't know if that's like a great thing in the long run. The short run, it's an amazing thing because I don't know. I don't want to lose TikTok. It's the best algorithm for creator growth. And let's see. TikTok responds to rumors of Elon Musk buying them. TikTok responds to rumors of China wants to ask Musk to buy platform. They say it's pure fiction. Bloomberg reported Monday that Chinese officials were looking at an option involving Musk acquiring TikTok. You guys want to do the Pat speed ring? Operations have banned platform U.S. according to people familiar with the matter. The publication wrote officials Beijing prefer TikTok parent company ByteDance to continue ownership of TikTok as contests in an impending battle through an appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. On Friday, the U.S. Supreme Court held oral arguments of the future of TikTok. Lawyers from the Biden administration reiterated the argument on Friday that TikTok's Chinese ownership poses a grave national security risk for American users. At the conclusion of oral arguments, it remained unclear as to how the Supreme Court might proceed in the matter. Though a ruling or order is expected before January 19th ban comes into force, Bloomberg said under scenario discussed by Chinese officials, X would acquire control TikTok in the U.S. In doing so, TikTok could be an asset when trying to attract advertisers as has over 100 million users in the U.S., also possibly benefiting. In the deal would be Musk's artificial intelligence company XAI, as could take in massive data generated by TikTok. So what I wonder instantly is like, I mean, I assume he would probably integrate TikTok into X somehow because he's ultimately trying to make X like the super app that's like involved in finance and data collection and everything. But I don't know. Are you guys in the camp like where you want TikTok to stick around and get bought by American ownership? TRC says if it's not made in America or Canada, I don't care. Yeah, I keep wondering though, why is it that we can't make an equivalent to TikTok? Because I mean, Instagram's not as good as TikTok. It just doesn't. I hope he doesn't do it. Another solution needs to be found. Like what though? Do you want an American, like a group of people to buy it, like Kevin O'Leary and the other crew, or do you just want like a U.S. company to create an equivalent rather than? Because I think the most important part of getting TikTok is so that we can look at what they've been doing for these, like the past however many years they've been popular in America. Never had TikTok. Yeah, I never did either, and I've never gone down like the rabbit hole of watching a ton of videos. But I'm a big fan of the algorithm, and you know what? Like, if somebody ever bought it who stopped censoring so hard in TikTok, oh my god, people would grow like crazy on there because it's the one app where anybody could just download, start posting videos. You could have 1,000 followers in just like a few days, maybe even one day. But the problem with this, like the mention like the slightest controversial thing, and you get the community guidelines violation. Like, if you just say the words WEF or BlackRock in your videos, they literally just ban it right on the spot. It's crazy. But I badly want this like a uncensored version of TikTok to be available. Never had TikTok, but keep in mind, guys, even if you don't have TikTok and somebody sends you a video on TikTok, then you still have the thing where they can look at your data. Like, it's that invasive. Could care less about the app. All right, but so for people who don't care about the app, whether it stays or goes, like, are you interested in knowing what they've been doing to us? Like the way that we got to like forensically audit formerly Twitter, now X, like what they were doing and like how they operate with the government and like what they were looking at. I'd be deeply interested to know what TikTok's been doing with our data. So like, I think just from that standpoint, I want somebody that would reveal that stuff to buy it. But I don't know, I wonder what the Vegas odds are on this thing, because it's being reported that they're preparing for a total shutdown this Sunday, I believe. Yeah, this Sunday. Let's see. Yep, TikTok preparing for a U.S. Sunday shutdown, sources tell Reuters. TikTok plans to shut its app for U.S. users on Sunday when federal ban on social media app could come into effect unless the Supreme Court moves to block it, which they won't. So, I don't know, I wonder if there's Vegas odds on this thing. Let me look at that quick. Vegas odds on TikTok ban. Oh, wow, they have it listed. Let's see. Let me share this. I need my own Rob. All right. TikTok betting specials 2-1 odds now, given that TikTok is banned in the US before May 2025. Oh, it's from December. So maybe is this live updating? Let's see. Will TikTok be banned in the US before May 2025? Probability is only 33%. But I think this is old though. Let's see. Do we have any new ones? Come on. Let's see. Is this current? Nope. October. Nope. No Vegas odds on this. Interesting. Well, nothing current. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. Another cool thing that happened, or strange thing that happened, that let's see. So they're talking about cutting off the funding of the WHO, which I don't know why this hasn't happened like long before this, because it's like the most anti-American thing possible. But let's see. So WHO on the chopping block to be cut off by funds. Let's see. Group of House Republicans is pushing to completely block U.S. funding for the World Health Organization. Chip Roy from Texas, policy chair for the Conservatives House Freedom Caucus, introduced the bill on Tuesday and argued that the international health body doesn't serve our interests and doesn't deserve our money. He also attacked the WHO members' countries' current effort to draft an international pandemic preparedness treaty, accusing the organization of a bid to consolidate and further own its influence. Yeah, no freaking shit, Chip Roy. I mean, it's like funny how these guys start saying these things that everybody agree, like that the population actually agrees with once it's safe for them to say it politically. Like, why weren't you saying this 2 or 3 years ago? Quote, taking money from hardworking families struggling with the aftermath of Biden's inflation crisis to send to a bunch of leftist public health tyrants in Geneva is unacceptable. I'm confident that President Trump will cut the WHO funding as he did last time. So let's see how much of the WHO money comes from America. WHO funding. Oh, look at that. Whoa. What? All right, so the US by far the biggest donor, 400 million. Then the second biggest donor, bigger than any other country. Oh, and this is 2018, 2019, by the way, so it's probably even crazier than this. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is the second biggest donor of the WHO after the United States. Then the UK, then Germany. What's the GAVI Alliance? Don't know what that is. UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. Japan, National Philanthropic Trust, Rotary International, and the European Commission. So a bunch of freaking NGOs and nonprofits are funding the WHO. So it's like a totally not by the choice of the people. It's by the choice of either globalists or billionaires or NGOs. So, wow, yeah. I wonder if that would, yeah. So let's see, what's their budget? So I'm trying to think like, oh shit, am I not showing this chart? Okay, yeah, I'm showing the chart. So what is their budget? So budget is 6.3 billion. And what percent comes from America? Now, why does this one say UK at the top? I almost want to ask, yeah, let's just ask Grok. What percent of WHO money comes from America? I'm going to guess 45%. 16%. Oh, here we go. All right, here's the updated version. We just saw the 2018, 2019 version. Here's the 2023, 2024 version. So, top 10 contributors to the WHO: America, Germany, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, GAVI. Gotta look at what that is. European Commission, UK and Northern Ireland, Canada, Rotary International. That Rotary thing's a pretty serious thing. So there's like a Rotary club in all the states in America. I remember when I was talking to one of the older guys at Value Team about running for Congress, he told me that I should go talk to the guys at the local Rotary Club. I guess it's one of those like power broker networks or something. It's like, so it's a pretty legit thing. I won't look up what GAVI is quick. Oh, the Vaccine Alliance. That makes sense. Let's see. Is there a little description of who they are? About. Gavi has already protected an entire generation of children and is now working to protect the next generation by improving access to new and underused V's for the millions of most vulnerable children. The V's Alliance is transforming the lives of individuals, helping to boost economies of lower income countries, making the world safer for everyone. Oh, how sweet. The power of partnership. Oh, look at all their friends. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the World Bank, the World Health Organization, vaccine manufacturers. Oops, I said it. Civil society organizations, private sector partners, research agencies. All the best possible friends you could have. Bill Gates said about them when Melinda and I started the work more than a decade ago. We were inspired by the conviction that all lives have equal value. So one of the first things we invested in was vaccines. Oh, shit, I said it again. Which protect all children who receive them, no matter how rich or poor they may be. In short, V's work. GAVI's impact. More children survive. Nation building thrives, and global health security improves. So does Bill Gates own this freaking thing? Let's see. Let's see. Governance, board members. What are the odds Bill Gates is on here? Don't know who this guy is. Do we recognize any of these names? That sounds familiar. I bet each of these people would have a interesting Wikipedia page that we took a look at. Let's just look at the chairman. So who is this guy? In 2020, Gavi board appointed Jose Manuel Barroso as its new chair beginning January, blah, blah, blah. Barroso was elected for the first of several times to Portuguese Parliament, served chairman, Foreign Affairs Corporation. He was successfully state secretary, Ministry of International Admission, state secretary of Foreign Affairs, blah, blah, blah. Anything crazy here? Well, anyway, you get the point. Let's look at this Rotary International thing. I mean, looking at that. My buddy was telling me to go hang out with these people and network, but they sound kind of creepy. To be honest with you. Rotary youth programs. Rotary offers young people many opportunities and fellowships to. Let's see. What is this thing? What is Rotary International? Rotary International is a global service organization that connects businesses and professional leaders to provide humanitarian services and promote peace. Oh, how vague. Membership's open to all people, regardless of race, color, or preference. There's no minimum age to join. Oh, great. Who are we? Rotary is a global network of more than 1.2 million neighbors, friends, and leaders, and problem solvers who see a world where people unite and take action and create lasting change across the globe. What we do, promote peace. Let's see, 45,000 clubs. Promote peace, fight disease, provide clean water, sanitation, and hygiene, save mothers and children, support education, grow local economies, protect the environment. So this kind of gets into something I've been meaning to talk about. So I keep telling you guys that I have a special episode or live stream that I keep intending to do. And it's mostly about these non-profit foundations and something specifically called the Reese Commission. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it was when Congress finally had the audacity to look into what groups like the Rockefeller Foundation and the Ford, what the hell is it called? Like the Ford Foundation and the Carnegie Foundation, like the actual impact that they were having on things like America's healthcare and America's education system, and some real dark, sick, twisted shit. Like started off maybe with a good intention, but got real dark. And I'm gonna kind of break down the like systematic impact they had based on like the policies they pushed and the initiatives they started and the obstacles that Congress ran into when they tried to actually investigate them. This lady, I think her name was Karen Reese, and they got pretty close to trying to take them down, but then that got thwarted. So let's see. Do I want to go into one more? All right, I'm going to go into one about finance because finance might be boring to you guys, but this shit's important. This one's about, I keep making the case that the Federal Reserve is going to try to thwart Trump's economy. And, this ties in nicely to what I'm doing in my book club, the Forbidden Book Society, which right now we're reading a book called Secrets of the Federal Reserve by Eustace Mullins. And I'm putting together a breakdown of that book right now that I'm going to be posting on there. But, it's like this whole thing about like everybody acts like the Fed's this government organization. Nobody owns it. Nothing to see here. And if you're trying to look into who owns the Fed right now, super layered, super complicated looking who actually owns them. But the reason it's important is because, like, I don't know if you guys saw it the other day. I almost have to pull up this clip of what Jerome Powell said about Trump firing him. Jerome Powell, Trump fired. I think this is it. Oh yeah, posted by VT. Good looks, VT. Here, watch this.
Do you believe that the president has the power to fire or demote you, and has the Fed determined the legality of a president demoting at will any of the other governors with leadership positions?
Not permitted under the law.
Not what?
Not permitted under the law.
Okay. Do you believe?
So he's outright saying, yep, president can't fire me. So what is this organization? Like, how powerful is it? Who controls it? Like, who? Because, if you think about it, this is the most communist thing ever. Like, the way I see communism is like when instead of letting the free market operate and do its thing and set prices, that a government committee sets the price of things, and like the Federal Reserve sets the interest rates, like sets the cost of money. They decide on the cost of money. They get together every month and say like, oh yeah, I think it's too low. Yeah, I think it's too high. And they kept rates at zero for as long as possible under Biden to try to boost the economy. But inflation was getting to like almost 10%. So they finally cranked up the interest rates, which didn't matter because the Wall Street was still just borrowing money at 0% from Japan in the yen and then converting it to dollars, and then basically having access to 0% rates anyway. So that's why the stock market's gone up still. But Wall Street Journal is saying, what if the Fed U-turns and raises rates this year instead of cutting them like they've been promising for the last year and a half, which is another big reason why the markets kept going up, because they have been anticipating like up to 7 rate cuts. So Wall Street Journal said, how embarrassing would it be for the Federal Reserve to raise rates this year? Could it admit that its aggressive rate reductions last year, including a cut as recent as last month, were a mistake and put them into reserve? What do you mean aggressive rate cuts? They cut by like a total of 1%. I almost have to show it to show you I'm not talking to my ass. Like federal funds rate. What do we got? Yeah, they went from, where is that? Yeah, rates went from 5.3 at its height in August 2024 to 4.8. So not even a full point. So what are you talking about, the aggressive rate cuts? Here, look at this. such a joke. They call it aggressive rate cuts. Like peak 5.3, right? Like, oh, aggressive, down to 4.48. So aggressive. It's not even one fucking point. What are you talking about, Wall Street Journal? All right. So they go on to say investors are starting to think about that idea. While the chance of a hike this year is still put at zero by pricing of federal funds futures, according to CME's group, FedWatch, it's a topic of heavy discussion. This isn't just a matter of whether the economy stays hot or whether the new Trump administration's tariff, immigration, and tax policies prove inflationary, though both matter. At the heart of it for investors, it's an important question. Are the barriers to raising rates stiffer than those to cutting? Or put another way, will the Fed need more evidence to hike than it will need to cut? History shows that Fed likes to signal big changes far in advance and takes time to be sure it's right before starting to raise rates. Since it started releasing post-meeting policy statements in 1994, the Fed has only once switched from cuts to hikes in less than 1 year. That one time was special. It slashed rates in 1998 because of the failure of long-term capital management, threatened to bring down Wall Street. And once the obvious everything would be fine, began raising rates again. Fun fact, if you guys don't know about the long-term capital management thing, so like nobody knows this, ready? So everybody wonders why the Fed bailed out almost all the banks in 2008, but they did not bail out Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns. The reason they did this, and like I found this in like the most, there's a period of time like in 2001 where I read like 78 books about finance and stock market and a Federal Reserve and just trying to know everything about it. And they said that in 1998, there was a meeting amongst the Federal Reserve and the bankers where they were like, all right, guys, like this is a terrible situation. It's a disaster. We need everybody to come together and bail out long-term capital management to like just save the system basically. And all the banks said yes, except for Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns. And the Federal Reserve said to them, if you fuckers don't get in line and help us out here, we're never going to forget it. And they didn't end up giving money and they let them fail in 2008. So that is why the Federal Reserve let Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns fail in 2008. It was a retribution for what they had done 10 years ago by not being a team player and helping out the system. Fun fact. So what's this chart showing? Months for Fed really rushes to raise, months to first rate rise after final rate cut. December 2015. Yeah, it's a confusing chart. Still, some think the Fed has learned from its initially lackluster response to the inflation shock of 2021 to 2022 and will move quickly if there's a threat of resurgence. See, like the most annoying thing about the way that people talk about inflation, they're like, oh my God, the rates went from 8% down to 3% in the last 2 years. So inflation's down. Like, no, inflation's not down. The pace of how fast it's going up is down, but inflation's not down unless that number's negative. I posted a video about this a while ago and like had ChatGPT make a chart of this, like an example of it. For example, item cost like $100 in the year 2000. Inflation's at 1%, right? Like the number $100 goes up by 1%. Inflation goes up to 5% the next year. Obviously, that number goes up by 5%. If it goes back down under 5% to like 3% or even 1%, the cost of that $100 is still going up. It's not going down. So it's just like the rate of change. It's not like if the number of inflation is lower than the year before, it doesn't mean inflation is going down. It just means inflation is going up more slowly. Not until that number is negative, that's when inflation is going down. That number hasn't been negative since 2008 because it's usually only negative during a stock market crash, because every year the Federal Reserve has a target of wanting at least 2% inflation. So that's, just straight up them admitting that they're eroding the value of your money by 2%. And there's a lot of back and forth about whether or not that's necessary or essential for the economy, because people argue you need the money supply to increase because you need the economy to expand, because there's like always more jobs and this and that, blah blah blah. But like that's what loans are for. That's what debt's for. Like that's where economic expansion comes from. And I mean, I truly wonder what interest rates would be if they were just solely based on like what the market settled the price out to be. They'd probably be really high, and it'd probably break a lot of things in the system. But that's the kind of the cleansing out process that we need. Like imagine a forest fire, like similar to California, where you don't clean up the brush for a long time, right? California neglected its brush, a lot of flammable shit in there. Okay, so what you're supposed to do in a responsible world, you're supposed to do the little controlled burns, clear it out so it's not like a big old disaster once something finally sparks off and ignites it. But they let it pile up and it was a disaster. So like in my view, if we had like a system where the Federal Reserve didn't intervene, then we'd have a lot of small little hiccups of the market crash. People over speculate, they borrow too much, whatever, but like nothing really breaks because like the buildup hasn't been that crazy. But when you baby the system along and create all these safety nets and don't let people actually fail, then it creates this whole giant pile of disasters that like if something does go wrong, it's just like breaks the entire system. So that's where we're at right now. So you get the gist of this article, but I've told you guys before, it feels like the Federal Reserve is fighting Trump. Like in his last, I've shown these two charts before a lot. So federal funds rate, I just showed you this, but Obama years, 0, 0, 0, 0. Trump wins the election. Literally, right here. The second he wins the election, they start jacking them up. And there's no inflation here, keep in mind. Like the inflation's not a problem. You're like their take is that they need to raise rates when inflation starts going up. Inflation wasn't going up at this point. And goes back down. Too long at 0. And they just crank it right the fuck back up. The other important chart is the Fed balance sheet. So I've shown you this before too. This whole concept's created, I think it was created after 2001, after that big crash. But it's like, a very mild thing. It's not even what's this measured in? I think this is measured in trillion. Yeah, it's almost $7 trillion they have on their balance sheet of like American debt that they own. So this number's not even at $1 trillion until 2008. And that's the TARP program right there. That was freaking out about the $800 billion to bail out the banks. And they keep increasing this. And what this does, this pushes down the price of the bond, or this pushes down the interest rate of bonds, right? So the government's always needing to borrow money. Wall Street, they're always needing to borrow money to buy stocks, do this, and that. Buying bond, like this money right here, this goes towards buying U.S. government bonds and pushing down the interest rate on them, because that makes financial conditions easier. That makes money cheaper. That makes like economic growth go more smoothly. So when this is going up, they're kind of creating like bumpers, or like putting the system on easy mode. But like once you build this thing up and then you start selling off these bonds, then that's when rates start. Like that's when there's the federal funds rate, and then there's the rate of the U.S. Treasury, and then they go up like crazy for COVID. This is why mortgage rates are still going up, because they're still selling these off. Even like when they lower the Fed funds rate, people are like, oh, why are mortgage rates still going up? It's because they're still selling off mortgage-backed securities with this. So this was like a 60-40 split between them buying. I think it was like, what was it? It was like $100 billion per month, 60 with the U.S. Treasuries, 40 with mortgage-backed securities. So, that also greases the real estate market. Like when you're buying mortgage-backed securities, it's pressing down the interest rate on mortgages. So this number's still going down. Started going down last time Trump got into office. I feel like I need to show you U.S. Treasury chart. Let me know if this is like sounds like gibberish to you, because it's important shit to know about. And I could explain it in a different way if it's not making sense just yet. But this is a very important number to follow, the U.S. 10-year Treasury rate. So see, this isn't exactly the same as the federal funds rate, but oh, interesting. So this number's going up. So normally this kind of correlates with what the Fed's doing, but this is a better measure of how the market's reacting to the conditions. But keep in mind, it's also going up because the Fed's selling these things off. Let's see. So see, this is when the Fed starts buying them. Not just yet. So boom, right here. Everybody piles into bonds. And they stay kind of low until the Fed starts selling them off in 2020. That was when that chart was going down that I was showing you. And this is kind of an indicator of how the whole system, this is the biggest, smartest pile of money in the world. People who are invested in U.S. Treasuries, and they consider this like the tier 1 capital of what you use as collateral. Let me see what the comments are saying, because I know this might sound bananas. Yeah, I do need my own Rob. We'll get there. We'll get there. As long as you guys keep liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, all that good stuff, we'll get there. Rob's search history. All right, let me see where you guys are at. How many millions in bonds did China buy from our government is my question. So let's see. Biggest owners of U.S. debt. I'm going to say China's at like $1 trillion. That's my guess. Let's see. But the thing that a lot of people don't factor in is that this is a bigger advantage for China, or a necessity for China, than it is for America. So China owns these things in large part because this is like the best yield that a lot of countries can get on their money. Because it's like, how you have to put money in your retirement account. You just look for a good rate of return. You'll get for something that's safe, that could, throw off like 4% per year. Like Japan, for example, Japan's interest rates are they were negative for the last 20 years. So let's see. Yeah, Japan and China, by far the biggest two. Where's one that shows just all of them nicely? So yeah, we have a lot more domestically owned debt than foreign owned debt. And yeah, look at this number go up from the Federal Reserve buying a lot of it. This isn't really the best page. Yeah, I don't like these charts. Yeah, Japan 1.3 or 1.13 trillion. China 774 billion. So yeah, the reason that countries want to own this is because, like I said, this is collateral for loans, and it's also simultaneously the it's better rate of return than they can get on anything in their country. Because we have better interest rates than a lot of countries do, even though that we artificially press it down. But let's see, what was I going to say? So in the 70s and 80s, that 10-year treasury rate got up to 20%, and it was just deathly. We had a hard time in the 70s and 80s. But yeah, we could go down a lot of different rabbit holes with this. Let me see if you guys are following along or bored out of your minds. Open question. Do you guys like when I talk about this stuff, or is it just like totally not your wheelhouse? Because I could go down a rabbit hole for days on this. It looks like Japan reduced that number a little bit. No, they didn't sell all their bonds because it's a massive number. Let's see. Let's see if there's a chart that shows how much they own. Mm. Yeah, so you're right. It looks like that number went down a little bit for both of them over the last 2 years. And that's for one reason or another. Another thing to factor in too, so like the price of bonds and the interest rate of bonds are inversely correlated. So the more that, like if you own a bond, say it's worth $100, the interest rate's 5%. The interest rate goes down to 4%, the value of that bond becomes $120. So if you're the owner of a bond, you're kind of cheering for the interest rate to go down, because if the interest rate goes up, then the value of it erodes. But if you're if you're not a bond owner, it's more attractive when the rate goes up because it's cheaper. And like the reason that the rate goes up in the first place is because it's more risky to buy it. Like the whole value of bonds is the likelihood of the debt, the person who owes the money paying you back. And since the U.S. has a money printer, then like it's in the strongest military in the world, it's considered the safest bet that there's out there to own U.S. debt. Because it's basically our decision as to whether or not we're going to pay that back. And we've never defaulted on our debt before. And that's what they always talk about when they want to raise the debt ceiling. They're like, oh, we can't default on our debt because that would, screw everything up, which it would screw everything up. That would, like a huge part of a lot of people's 401ks, it's like at least 30-40% U.S. treasuries or U.S. bonds. Same thing, different word. Thank you. Of the stuff he says makes sense, but really doesn't match his words. Is that for me or is that for somebody else, American legend? It's informative. Thank you, Amber. Happy to show you guys the ropes. Steve says, I really don't have any clue about this economic stuff, but I love to learn. I mean, same here. I knew close to nothing about this in 2020, but then like when I saw them just print $6 trillion, I'm like, okay, I don't understand this stuff. So I definitely have to. And then book I would recommend for all you guys, definitely The Creature from Jekyll Island. That's a good crash course on the last 100 years of this stuff. Emilio Milanhead says, I hate Trudeau. That asshole ruined my country and finished what his daddy started. Are you excited about Pierre coming through? Do you think Pierre is going to be a big change, or do you think that he's like a little bit all talk? I mean, I think just if Canada literally just stopped like and did nothing for the next 4 years, like it'd be much stronger. Because I mean, like the real damage comes in when the government gets super involved. Like if the government just stopped getting involved for 4 years, I think it'd be a world of difference. Gotta learn sometime. Hell yeah. Good. Commodity super cycle. Yes. Alan Satoshi Greenspan, you are correct. If you want to see a commodity super cycle chart, I will show you commodity super cycle chart, because you are right about that. And that's why it's so expensive to build houses right now. And that's a big reason why these insurance rates are unaffordable in California, and they're not willing to insure people. Like these houses should not cost us much. Commodity super cycle. Like I come from a family of a lot of home builders, and they say like you could have made a killing in it back in the, I don't know, 60s, not so much the 70s, because there was a little bit of a super cycle then, like, right. So here, let me show you this chart. Because this is really everything. Great call, Alan Satoshi Greenspan. So let's see. 1965. My grandfather building homes around this time. Said it's like a freaking boom time. Great like industry to make money in. You know, you could like wood, steel, copper, not that bad. But see here around 1979, it's commodity super cycle. This is when inflation gets bad, expensive to build homes, oil gets expensive, all that. The economy slows down, then this drops when the economy starts kicking back up in the 90s. Then, you know, same thing. Homes were pretty relatively cheap to build. Then now it's gotten bad again, and it went down a bit. This is like the 2008 period right here, and then obviously shoots right the hell back up. And this is unfortunate. If it's saying, I don't know how old this chart is, but it's saying that it's supposed to peak in 2045. I mean, shit, I hope it's peaking right now, which I think it probably is peaking right now, because if you look at this thing, it looks like it's like 10 to 15 year gaps in between it. But what we really need, though, is just to like produce these commodities in a more efficient way. Like there's no reason that like the price of wood and steel and copper and oil, like all these things that you need to build homes, should be this much money. Like it's going in the opposite direction of everything else. Let's see what we got. What state or region of the country are you in? Your artwork is awesome. Me? I don't know if you're talking to me or not, but I don't think this guy's talking to me. I'm in Florida. Thank you for the subscription, American Legend. Yeah, gather. See, Greenspan. Listen, so man, I made like I missed out on probably like $2 million in 2020. So this is right before the Georgia runoff. I don't know if you guys remember, but so this was like to determine whether or not the Senate was going to be majority Democrat or tied, or majority Republican, or no, it was going to be tied if that Georgia runoff went Democrat. So that happens. The two Democrats from Georgia win, and you know, just instinctually, like everybody who pays attention to finance are like, okay, wow, they're gonna, you know, print a ton of money, they're gonna spend a ton of money now, inflation's gonna go crazy. So everybody collectively made a decision, either, you know, throw their investment money into crypto or gold or silver. So I take 10 grand, throw it into silver, like take like $500, put it into crypto, like various different types of crypto. And if I put 10 grand into crypto that day that I made that decision for the silver, like it would have been like a $2 million decision, because it's like we're talking Cardano's like 3 cents, it goes to like $2. We're talking like Dogecoin's like 0.0003, it goes to like, you know, 50 cents, like all these 1,000 percentage point gains. So, but so this is actually a topic that I'll probably cover in one of these. I'm going to call the series "Too Big to Jail." I'm going to cover in one of these how they rig the gold market, and like, you know, this is a Rothschild thing. How they keep the price of silver and gold capped, because, you know, it kind of exposes the system if they let that get too high. And there's like not nearly as much gold in the world as there is like gold owned. So, you know, a lot of people like own gold on paper. Like they own it in their IRA, or they own the gold contracts. They could like, or the futures, they could have it, like they could call it for delivery to have it delivered. But it's like the amount that actually exists is a fraction of the amount that's owned. So they like just short sell the shit out of it whenever it gets too high. So they control the shit out of the market. You can explain that in detail someday, but that's an unfortunate thing, because I mean, it was almost like they like got bailed out in a way from being exposed too bad, because all the like investment inflation money, like the financial inflation, poured into crypto rather than into the precious metals when they added $6 trillion to the economy. So I think the precious metals, they probably will have their day someday, but it's definitely an annoying thing to just bank, like to be all in on that and wait it out. Like you, after getting beat up a little bit, learning the ropes in the market, you know, I think the whole like super diverse 7% across the board and all different things is the way to go. American Legend said, so Pat brought you on board to his new media group. Congratulations. You must have earned his respect. So, for anybody who doesn't know how I ended up at Valuetainment, the way I ended up at Valuetainment is that they were trying to force me to take the vax at my old job in 2021. I was working in the private sector and doing global security for unfortunately for a big pharma company, because I went to college for national security. It was super dumb and innocent. Thought I was going to like want to work for the CIA. I thought that was like a patriotic cause or like a fun place to work. And then I found out that that's like those type of people are the biggest fundamental threat to our country out of anybody, like more so than China, more so than the Middle East. Like the deep state within our government's probably done more harm and capable of doing more harm to our country than anybody else. So learned that at about the halfway, 3/4 point of my time there. And by the time I graduated, wanted no part of that. So I get into the private sector, start learning about other shit that I could apply to doing different type of work, learn about the economy and all that. And they try to start making me take the vax, and I quit because I saved up enough to figure out the next step, and said like, yeah, there's no way I'm taking this shit. Fuck you. And start YouTube, grow it to like 50,000 subs within a couple months, and I get a community guidelines strike when I started finally making money on it. So I'm like, shit, this, like, I could be effective at this, but it seems like a delicate thing where if they could take me out this easily. So always was a big fan of Pat, always admired everything he said. So like, you know what? I want to work with this guy. I can do exactly what I'm doing and also work with that company and, help them do what they're doing, because I love what they're doing. I love what Valuetainment represents. So through various means of contact and attempting to try to get their attention, I finally do it. And I the way I finally did it was that I got those manila envelopes, like those big ones like this. So I found the name of everybody who worked at the company and got this QR code sticker that you could upload a video to. So I upload my pitch of what I wanted to do and like how I thought I could fit in and add to what they were doing. Stuck that on the outside of every one of those manila envelopes with like a green arrow that says scan me, and emailed like 50 of them to Valuetainment. And next day I got a phone call, spoke with HR, and within a week I was there. And we clicked right away. I mean, Pat are interested in the same things, care about the same things. So it was just a natural fit. And coming up on about 2 years here now. So yeah, that's the old journey to Valuetainment. That's how I got here. Let's see what else we got. Wow, we're almost going in on 2 hours now. I like Pat the best when he would do his whiteboard YouTube discussions. Yeah, I know. We're gonna figure out a way to do that again. We're thinking about getting like a digital board or something so that we could bring those back. Yeah, but I think Tucker actually did join the CIA, or his father was in the CIA or something. So I think there's something there. Yep, Pat's an awesome dude. Yeah, I know Greenspan. I know precious metals are a safe bet, and I definitely believe owning like at least 10% precious metals in your portfolio. But I don't know, I don't know if the explosive growth is there, because I definitely agree with having a good portion of it. I even think that bullets should be part of your portfolio, because in a world where precious metals increase by 1,000% in their price, that's a pretty chaotic world. That's a world where the economy breaks, and I mean, bullets might arguably be a more important commodity than precious metals. Ooh, yeah, I have half my portfolio in uranium. Alan's caps locked is stuck. Yeah, uranium. That's a good bet. Uranium's gonna crush it, I think, over the next few years because the big tech companies are building nuclear reactors. I think we're finally going to be rational with it. So, it's what we've been waiting for. I mean, if I've shown you the chart before of how few nuclear reactors have been built over the last 50 years. It's disgusting. There's been like 3 of them built since the 70s. But that was the government that stopped that, and the government's not starting it back up, but the big tech companies are starting it because we just can't do what we want to do with AI without that type of power. So hopefully they start the trend and set the trend, and our government follows suit. Oh yeah, super silver undervalued. I think it's like what, 25 right now. Let's see. I think it's like $25 an ounce, but it should be like probably at least $80 an ounce. Let's see. Silver price chart. Amber, do you know the story of the Hunt brothers? How they tried to corner the silver market? And then the government punished them for it. And I think Warren Buffett tried to, I guess, somewhat corner the silver market too. And they were not too happy about that. Let's see. I want to show you what the price of silver was in the 80s. Yeah, look at this shit. So, oh, it's 2011. That's strange. I remember it. I thought it went up to like 120 or something in the 80s. I don't know if this is right. Yeah, it got up to 50 in 2011. I think that's when Buffett was doing his thing with it. Yeah, here we go. This is the one. I knew it. I knew it. See, that's weird. They almost like try to censor what the actual price of it was at one point. So, yep, 1980, $144 an ounce silver got to. Well, there's a whole history to that. There's a little bit of conspiracy. The Hunt brothers, I think, related to the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs. They just started accumulating it and tried to corner the market, and they got spanked by Big Daddy government. Oh yeah, even this one they lied with too. It's this one, 2011. It looks like it went up to like 70-ish. But yeah, now it's at 32. But yeah, it's super, super artificially capped. It's terrible. And silver is like an industrial metal too. It's not just a store of wealth. It's like it's got a huge use case. It's like probably arguably the most important metal in the world for the things that we need to build. There's like something almost you could say spiritual to these metals too, like silver and gold. Like they're antiseptic. Like bacteria can't exist on silver and gold. Yep, 380 to 1 paper to tangible silver. That sounds about right. Oh yeah, uranium against inflation for sure. So especially with the demand for it right now, like uranium is super difficult to find. Let's see, uranium price chart. I think uranium's crushing it right now. Oh no, not as much as I thought. Wow, look at this. 2007 uranium was up to 136. But you know what this is? This is before the shale boom. So this is wow, that's interesting. So right here, oil started getting crazy expensive. I think it got up to like 150 a barrel. And then we discover how to frack. And the price gets knocked down. Honestly, fracking saved the world to a degree because we won't let the Invention Secrecy Act technology come out. So we're stuck with oil, solar, uranium, whatever, nuclear for right now. So yeah, the whole shale boom knocked the price of this down, it looks like. But now it's getting back up there with what's on the horizon with AI and all that and the demand that's going to have. But then look at this. So nuclear reactors built by year. Look at this. It's the most annoying chart ever. So look at all 70s through the 90s or early 90s, ton of nuclear reactors built. And then in the last, was that 40 years or 30? 35 years. In the last 35 years, 4 nuclear reactors built. It's retarded. It's not an accident though. That's just the what do they call it? The deindustrialization initiative put out by the Club of Rome. Topic for another day, but this is because they want to slow population growth, because like energy is the most directly correlated thing with the economy. There is like the more energy you have, the more cheap energy you have, the faster the population's going to grow, the cheaper that everything becomes. No, don't buy Dogecoin. Buy XRP. XRP is crushing it right now. Oh yeah, Chernobyl is definitely an inside job. 100%. 100%. Going to our 4th straight year of supply shortage, the price is manipulated by the COMEX. Yep, and who owns the COMEX? Their name rhymes with Schmothchild. But they don't like directly own it on paper. They like put layers and layers and layers between themselves and the ownership of things. Yeah, no, I believe me, I like silver. I like it's at least like 10% of what I own in terms of things I invest in, but I'm not optimistic that that we'll have real price discovery unless like we have like a systematic change in like the way that the market works, because it's just like if it didn't work, and like so after the GME squeeze, like they tried to do the silver squeeze, and if it didn't work then I don't know when it's gonna work, because like that was like a shit ton of people buying the hell out of silver. But then what happens with that is like, so places like JP Morgan, they have a shit ton of silver. I think they bought like I don't even know what the hell was it. Let's see. I think JP Morgan owns like millions and millions of pounds of silver, and they just dump it onto the market with when things like this happen. So like they don't even have to necessarily dump this physical on the market. They just like sell paper shares of it to push the price down. Yeah, see, JP Morgan Chase holds the highest amount of physical silver in history. Oh wait, nope, was this the investor or is this the bank? While everyone's focused on massive outflows of COMEX, registered gold inventories and the gold ETF, seems that an important evolution in silver is passing unnoticed. In what follows, Ted Butler's precious metal analysis, specialized in COT analysis, reveals a remarkable insight in the physical silver market. Butler's calculations show that JP Morgan has piled up the largest holding of physical silver in the modern world. Since the silver price peak in May 2011, the bank has accumulated between 100 and 200 million ounces of physical silver, if not more, the equivalent in metric tons to between 3,100 and 6,200 tons. To put that number into perspective, it surpasses the amounts held by the Hunt brothers or Warren Buffett, like I said before, when they tried to corner it, in his investment company, Berkshire Hathaway. On a yearly basis, some 100 million ounces of silver reach the investment market, which translated into 150 million ounces between May and December 2013. Oh shit, is this just talking about that 2-year period? Because if that's the case, then it's got to be way more than that right now. As well as 220,000 contract reduction in silver short position netted JP Morgan more than $3 billion. In COMEX Silver, JP Morgan was the largest buyer in 2013. So yeah, it seems like an old article too. So it's probably even crazier now. Methodology. JP Morgan knows the financial markets better than anyone else. It's no coincidence that the bank is using that knowledge to their own benefit. Evidence lies in the record number of penalties for which they have been accused by market manipulation. But yeah, I mean, it's a good investment when you could manipulate the market, and the fine that you get for that is less than the amount of money you made manipulating the market. So it seems like a good trade-off. Butler explains that JP Morgan was able to accumulate so much silver without being noticed through the big silver ETF SLV in his weekly commentaries to his premium subscribers that he explained on numerous occasions the physical silver holdings in SLV have been largely intact on net basis, but there was a large churn in the holdings, which allows for a large buyer to go unnoticed. For instance, 60 million ounces were liquidated in 2 months, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, you get the point. They bought a shit ton of silver and they're hoarding it. So, you know, like an unfair advantage that they have is that they could short sell this thing and just push the price down, then buy up the physical. So it's it's a nice setup for people like JP Morgan Chase, for groups like that. And, you know, they work directly with the Federal Reserve. They're on the board of the Federal Reserve. So they're not going to like go rogue and let the price get out of control. You know, they're cool with making their 30% on it. Yep, silver is used in medical, military, energy, and tech sectors, which, you know, again, like I'm right there with you. It should be like $200 an ounce, probably. Like honestly, fair price discovery, it should probably be $250 an ounce. But I don't know. Tell me the scenario in which they let it get to that, because, like, you know, I was part of like that community where I was following, eager to see the price jump, eager to see real price discovery, but I don't imagine them letting it get there with the way that the thing is set up right now. Just like a bank won't actually fail unless the Federal Reserve lets it fail, because the only reason that they, like I said, the reason that the banks failed in 2008 is because the Fed let them fail. But you can really avoid a bank failure right now with the way that it's set up if they want to. All right, so let's see. I think you guys are fading on me here. We're almost at 2 hours. Let's see. XRP is undergoing one of the greatest pump and dump marketing schemes ever in crypto. The money always flows back to Bitcoin on significant time frames. Oof. Pulse Dent. I disagree with you. I think that hot take, but I think that Bitcoin's the one that's gonna. Bitcoin's gonna be like Yahoo, what Yahoo is to Google search engine. I think XRP is more like Google, because what's the use case for Bitcoin? Like, the reason it's popular is because it was first, but the use case, what you just, it sits there and there's a limited supply of it, so it goes up. Like, it's never going to be a replacement for the Swift system. It's never going to be like what the Federal Reserve uses for Fed now. I mean, like the creator of XRP created it with the idea of it replacing the antiquated Swift system. So, and they set it up in a way where like coins get burned out of existence every time that they're transacted. So, you know, it was literally set up for billions, if not trillions of dollars worth of transactions every day. Like, all the money goes back and forth between countries over the Swift system. Like, that was built with the idea of it doing that. Bitcoin can't even do a fraction of that. It's so expensive and so slow to move Bitcoin from point A to point B. So Bitcoin, like, sure, it's a store of value. It's like safe, I guess, because it's encrypted. It's decentralized. Like, yeah, that's all good and well. But as far in terms of use cases, I don't see how Bitcoin is more useful than something like XRP. And then don't get me started on Ethereum. Ethereum, I think, is a disaster. Like, they he basically acknowledged that he built it the wrong way using proof of work instead of proof of stake. So that's why Ethereum 2.0 came out, because he wanted to build it more like Cardano than how Bitcoin was built. But from what I hear, it's been a disaster, like moving it from the first one to the second one. Well, see, I'm gonna have both soon. Send us to the moon, BTC. Yet to ascend means your portfolio sound and structured to be rich and having cross-border payments. Hey, Aaron, we won. Yeah, I know Bitcoin's decentralized. Lightning Network. It can't do the volume of what. So my whole thing is let me show you this thing, and the amount of rabbit holes we could go down with all this stuff, it's crazy. But check this out. So like 96% of central banks in the world are experimenting with CBDCs right now, right? So just because they're experimenting with them doesn't mean that they have a good technology that they're working with, but the desire is there. So 1 second. Percent of central banks using CBDC. All right, check this out from the creepy Atlantic Council. Where's this thing? This thing has like a crazy map. Oh, it's not uploading. Why isn't it? Here we go. All right, so from the Atlantic Council, which is filled with former CIA directors. I think there's like 12 former CIA directors that work at this thing. So this map goes by either the central bank in the country launched their CBDC, they're in the pilot stage, development, research, inactive, blah, blah, blah. You get it. 134 countries representing 98% of global GDP are exploring a CBDC. In May 2020, that number is only 35. So that's where we've gone in the last 4 years. But exploring, keyword exploring, like everybody knows that the government or the banks, like the public sector, doesn't make products as good as the private sector. So like Cardano, XRP, even Ethereum, Bitcoin, all superior technologies to what a bank, like a central bank, a government institution is going to produce. So I think the inevitable scenario is that the Fed Now program or the central bank, whatever, they're going to look at the market and see what crypto technology fits what they want to do best, and they're going to buy that from them. So they're going to partner up with the best thing that's suited for them. So I think I see the scenario in which Fed Now or Swift wants to use XRP, the network that's built to do the Fed Now program or to replace the Swift program. If that happens, then it's gonna go fucking crazy. But that's never gonna happen with Bitcoin, which I think Bitcoin's got a purpose. It's a good store of value just because it's limited and it's like the most decentralized out of all the cryptos. But I like the technology of XRP the most. That's where I'm at with it. Sound the coins would make in the bags would be awesome as you juggle them. I'm thinking, yeah. So the coolest thing about silver is if you have a silver coin, it does the cool thing when you flip it. It goes ding. So totally different sound than other metals. Junk silver in 10-ounce bars. Yeah, junk silver is the way to go. Those or even if you could find they used to make quarters and they're 90% silver. That's the cheapest way to buy silver in bulk because the places that need silver to build shit, they'll pay you good money for that. Oh, one of the smartest investments I heard was Tony Robbins said that he said he knew this guy who was like a billionaire that he found out that I think it was the the mint or the treasury or the Fed or something, they're willing to pay like 8 cents per nickel, or I don't even know if it was a government organization, might have been like a private company or something. They determined that the value of a nickel was 8 cents in terms of like recycling the metal and like using it to build whatever they wanted to build. So this dude just starts buying millions and millions of dollars of nickels from like all the mints and all the banks and whatnot. And this dude has like a 30% return from buying millions of dollars of nickels. So shit like that. I love hearing stories like that. It's super outside the box thinking. All right. We are at 2 hours now. This was a lot of fun. I like this setup where you don't quite know where the show's going to go. Cause like, I mean, the stuff that you guys say kind of prompts me to go in like a certain direction. I kind of like that setup. But hey, if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, share with your friends, tell everybody how great this is, how great I am, how great Valuetainment is, what we're doing, what we're all about, what you could expect if you subscribe or review the stuff that we're doing. You know, we're trying to grow and make an impact. The more of you guys that watch this, the cooler I can make the show. I could get, you know, dudes like the XRP CEO or the Cardano CEO on here and stuff, you know, so you do some cool shit. So just keep on coming back, keep on liking, subscribing. You guys are the best. Love you all. And I will see you tomorrow night. God bless. Goodbye.